Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure and responsibility to see all of you here. Well, a few words about myself. I've got quite a lot of experience of working with the colleagues from engineering department in a tandem. And within this program, we worked on their manuscripts. When they brought in their findings, and I contributed my language expertise, and together we tried to formulate the ideas and build argumentation in the best possible way. And this experience, I would say 6-year experience, helped me to test this model, the one that I'm going to present today. And well, I am sure that it's feasible, it can be used, and it can make your argumentation stronger and your articles more reader friendly. So before we start, let me, just a moment, let me ask you to answer one question. What makes a manuscript reader friendly? For that, I want you to go to www.menti.com and using the code that you see on the screen, type in 3 short answers to the question. I can see that the word structure is dominating this word cloud. Yes, structure or clear structure or logic. Yeah, and that's what we are going to speak about today. So the structure is the most important moment or aspect in organizing our texts, because we intend to make them clear and reader friendly to attract the most of attention and to disseminate the knowledge and findings that we've got and to get our ideas across. So in terms to build clear structure, we are going to speak about several aspects of it. Yeah, let me share the outline of our seminar today. Yeah, we are going to look at the pyramid structure of argumentation that can help make your texts reader friendly. We'll also discuss the specifics of processing information and look at the differences between reading and writing the text. You'll see that they are quite different in terms of cognitive activity. And finally, we will build the algorithm for making clear argumentation and practice it all together. Yeah, so in the end, we should come up with the pyramids of our own. Yeah, we'll start from the foundation blocks of the pyramid principle. It started actually a long time ago, back in the year 304 before Christ, in ancient Greece, where a well-known philosopher, Aristotle, dealt with and formulated the difference between deductive and inductive thinking processes. So this is one of the foundation blocks of the principle we're going to discuss later. Another contributor to this principle or method is George Miller, an American psychologist and professor of Harvard University, who studied the specifics of information transmission. And we are going to discuss one of the aspects that he described in his article. You'll get the references later on. And finally, Barbara Minto, Harvard graduate and consultant, and the first female McKinsey expert who formulated this principle. As Barbara said, she did not create it. She just combined some data, some ideas, and expressed or described them in the most reader-friendly way. How did it start? At a certain point, Barbara, together with the representatives of Harvard University, was working on the conference, and she was responsible for getting the texts or the presentations of the speakers. After reading them for some time, she noticed that some texts were very easy to read and took a little time to understand the main idea. They were logical and clear, whereas the others were very complex and they took enormous amount of time to deal with. So she tried to analyze what was wrong and what was okay with those texts that were reader friendly. And that's how she formulated the pyramid principle that we are going to speak about later. Yeah, before we get to the pyramid principle, let's deal with a little bit of magic. What's the magical number, the first magical number that comes to your mind? Why number 7 is such a magical number? George Miller, the psychologist I was speaking about in the previous slide, while doing research at university, identified that there are certain limitations to human immediate memory span. And these limitations cause some kind of bottleneck in what we perceive. Yeah? George Miller found out that people can receive, process, and remember 7 plus or minus 2 items of information at once. And I think I've noticed in some messages this magical number, 7 plus or minus 2. So that means that if we want our information, our findings to get across to our audience, we need to somehow limit them to this number. Otherwise, they won't be perceived. George Miller named this problem informational bottleneck. Yeah, so you can see it represented in the picture at the bottom of the slide. From numerous sensory inputs, we can see that there is really limited attended information. So that's how this principle was formulated. And well, as long as we are scholars, scientists, we cannot trust any data, even provided by the renowned professor. I suggest that we make a test. I'll show you a word cloud. Take a look at it. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Try to memorize as many words as possible. Just look and memorize. Okay, I think you've got enough time. Now, in the chat box, I'd like to ask you to type in as many words as you have remembered. And I suggest that each of you type these words in one message for us to see the statistics. 8 words, even 9 words. Great, thank you, colleagues. That proves that if you look at all these messages, that in the majority or on average, George Miller was right. And an average person can perceive or process from 5 to 9 items of information. We tested it on an example on the level of vocabulary, words, random words in the cloud, but this principle works on the level of big data or any sort of information. What we can do to make information in our texts more memorable? Any ideas? All right, I can see a message. We can divide the body of the paper into 5 or 9 chunks. Also great idea. using appropriate examples, yeah, style of writing, structure the text with bullets, diagrams, illustrations, and tables. Yeah, 7 plus or minus 2 general results. Short sentences, also interesting idea. Yeah, having clear highlights, yeah, proper paragraph structure. Well done, the word structure comes up again. Okay, thanks a lot. Yeah, there are quite many ideas that you've shared. Okay, well, so if you look at the slide, yeah, what can be suggested as well? We can, because yeah, usually as scientists, devoted scientists, once we have found something out, we want to share all the mass of the information that we've got. Yeah, so what can we do to pack it into our manuscript for it to be memorable still, yeah, to overcome these limitations, informational bottleneck? We can cluster or categorize information. Yeah, we can pair, find something similar and pair items of information. We can build connections or even create a story if it's applicable. Yeah, so we can use all these methods to overcome an informational bottleneck. And that brings us to an interesting phenomenon. George Miller as well, yeah, I'll mention him quite a lot today. He, while studying the process of perceiving information, he asked himself a research question. How does the reader perceive argumentation in a text? And it was found out that a reader, or this kind of perception can be visually demonstrated in the shape of a pyramid. When a reader looks at the text, unknown text, they expect to see the main idea somewhere at the beginning. Then, yeah, supported by some arguments. And only then examples and additional data and conclusions. This approach is called top-down approach or deductive reasoning. Yeah? So that if the text is organized in such a way, we can be sure that the reader will understand our message and the ideas will be clearer. All right, so that brings us to the point that an ideal structure of a text and a paragraph is a pyramid with the most important idea or a statement at the top, several main points, and some supporting details. Yeah, I'll repeat that it works both on the level of a paragraph and the level of a text. All right, and that brings us to another magical number that was already mentioned. Yeah, could you remind to me, please, how many layers did our pyramid have? 3, certainly, yeah, easy peasy, right, 3 layers. So 3 is another magical number that every writer, yeah, text writer should remember about. Yeah, why 3 is so important in organizing information? It's not too long, so we can be sure that the reader doesn't lose some interest or motivation. We can formulate it in a short statement. 1, yeah, if we give only 1 statement, it's an accident, yeah. 2 is a coincidence, and only 3 forms a pattern. So if we want to build trustworthy argumentation, we need to remember about that, because subconsciously our reader is waiting for these 3 arguments or 3 supporting ideas to ensure that what he is reading is true and feasible and trustworthy. Yeah, and I'd like to share with you my favorite quote about that. Yeah, 3 is, unfortunately, I don't know who it belongs to. I haven't managed to find it, but I love it. 3 is the smallest number we need to create a pattern. The perfect combination of brevity, simplicity, and rhythm. Yeah, so that, yeah, really, I think these expression, this statement, yeah, really, yeah, identifies, yeah, the idea of using 3. Yeah. Okay. Again, we need to check that, I think, yeah, to test how it works. We are going to look at a paragraph. Try to put its content in a similar pyramid, because as we discussed it with you earlier, yeah, pyramid structure works on different levels, both on the text level and on the paragraph level. So what do we have here? Yeah, how do we formulate the ideas in this pyramid? Let us look at some suggested answers. Again, they are only suggested answers. Yeah, there is no right or wrong answer. Everybody perceives information differently. Yeah, so one of the ideas, yeah, millennials as a buzzword. Why? Because it's largest generation. Yeah, characteristic features in terms of race, education, and marital patterns, experience with technology, which influences their behavior. And as a result, actually, yeah, teaching schemes. Yeah, so mostly we've got the same ideas, which helps us draw a conclusion that the text is really reader friendly, reader centered. And now we are going to switch from a reader's point of view, yeah, reader's focus, to the writer's focus. Yeah, how the writer constructs argumentation in a text. When we look at the argumentation or at the process of writing a text or compiling any kind of presentation from the author's point of view, we can visualize it in a form of the same pyramid, but in a reversed way. What do we start from? We start from collecting some ideas, brainstorming them, yeah, and we've got a lot, chaos, yeah, and it often takes quite a long time to start actually writing, doesn't it? At first, we need to accumulate this energy once our head starts, yeah, exploding with ideas. Only then we can, yeah, sit down and do something about that. So then, after we have got enough ideas, we start sorting and clustering them, grouping, maybe analyzing, refusing from some, building up on the others. And only then we formulate the main idea, right? And this is yeah, called the bottom-up approach or inductive reasoning. So it happens the other way around. And the major problem or the major mistake is when we try to demonstrate these thinking process in our texts. Yeah, actually, having worked with quite a lot of scholars and their texts, I've seen quite many that we formulate our ideas in the same way. We start from numerous ideas, then we move on to some categories, and only then in the conclusion we formulate the main idea, which makes the text not very reader-centered because they expect it to be the other way around, right? So keep that in mind. And Yeah, let's look in detail at these pre-writing stages. What happens before we actually start writing? What are we looking for? So we are looking for various kinds of information, ideas, quotes, yeah, observations, documented facts, some drawings. Yeah, we can even draw some pictures that later on can turn into some schemes and diagrams, and pieces of data. So at this pre-writing stage, we usually accumulate, yeah, loads of information, and it can be accumulated in an absolutely chaotic way. Yeah, but we collect and collect and collect till the moment we feel that we are ready to produce something. Okay, then the next point that we have to keep in mind is how we can brainstorm the ideas. Yeah, I think that, yeah, that makes sense to revise them. So we go for quantity rather than quality. It's really important because, yeah, at the stage of brainstorming, we don't have to judge ourselves or criticize the ideas. Otherwise, this creative process can be, I would say, demotivated. You can be demotivated. Good. We should try to build on existing ideas. Yeah, looking at what we already have got, and yeah, build or construct some new ideas based on what we have. We should welcome unusual ideas, but keeping focus on the topic. And a very practical recommendation is to use these colored sticky pieces of paper or post-it notes for writing down the ideas. This is, yeah, my personal, I would say, best. Yeah, when I was writing my thesis, that's how I accumulated all the ideas. So why post-it notes? Because they are very small and we can write very few words on each of them. That means that we should get to like formulate our idea in a very straightforward manner. Yeah. So only a few words, just to remember that. We can later on easily like connect them with each other or build some connections. If we don't like an idea later on, we can just throw this paper away, and yeah, that is much more difficult to do if you're brainstorming in a copybook or any notepad, right? So that really works. At least that's what helped me. And finally, yeah, clustering guidelines. Once we have these huge amount of ideas, data, information, observations, what can we do with it, yeah, before we start writing? We should cluster it somehow. And if you use post-it notes, it's, yeah, like it makes the process very simple. You put all of them on a desk or wall, like the surface should be quite large, yeah, for you to have a helicopter view of what is going on. Uh, Take one post-it to make it the first in the first group. Take another one and decide if it goes to the first group or forms another group, a separate one. And repeat this step with each post-it note. In the process, we should apply me-see principle. That means another principle formulated by the lady that we mentioned earlier, Barbara Minto. The ideas should be mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Yeah, so we take a look at all the mass of ideas and uh, analyze them through, yeah, look at them through this principle, through this perspective. And then once we have grouped them in certain groups, we give the names to these clusters. Then we choose, yeah, or rank clusters and identify the possible connections between them. We formulate the main idea, And here we go, right? We are ready to create, to write something after that. Let us summarize everything that we have discussed today. Yeah, pyramid structure of argumentation can help us to make our logic clear for the reader, first of all. It works both on the text and on the paragraph levels. People can process 7 plus or minus 2 items of information at once, and in order to ease text perception, we need to cluster them. We should, mostly it is recommended to focus on 3 clusters of information when writing a text, but of course, there could be some deviations. And reading and writing processes go in different directions, top-down versus bottom-up approach. And we should keep that in mind when we start writing our texts. We should reverse the pyramid and write from top to bottom to ease perception. There is a variety of argumentation models, and this is only one of them. And what I like about it, that it is very simple. And as long as it was born in the United States, they like simplicity. They believe that there is beauty in simple things. And another very appealing idea for me is that when you can explain some complex concepts in a simple way, you can be guaranteed that the bigger audience will understand your ideas, and your knowledge will go further. You will disseminate your findings. That is why I would say that, of course, it's up to you to choose which model you use in your particular manuscript. But this is just one of them. If you apply this principle, I will be very happy. If you decide to go for another one, it's also great. And it's great to have some tools, in your toolbox to have variety to choose from. Could you please recommend some papers or books about principles of argumentation? Right, I've actually, in the reference notes, I've attached some of the books that you can use, and they are connected with brainstorming, clustering ideas, and building argumentation. And one more idea, could you please explain how exactly should we use number 7 in writing text? We should keep that in mind. We should keep in mind that there is a limitation to the information that our readers perceive. That is why, from the variety of ideas that we have, we should build some clusters and limit them to the minimum number, preferably 3 or a bit more, but definitely not too many. That's the only point. We should keep in mind this magical number. All right, have a great evening.